Recent reports suggest that Gervonta Davis has been intentionally adding size during his training camp, now walking around at roughly 160 pounds, a significant increase from his usual lightweight frame of 135. This strategic bulk-up brings him closer to the agreed catchweight for his exhibition clash with Jake Paul, reducing the size gap and neutralizing one of Paul's main advantages. The added mass could enhance Davis's punch resistance and striking power, allowing him to better absorb heavy shots and deliver more explosive counters. Though still under the catchweight limit, this transformation shows Davis's commitment to challenge and hints at a stronger, more dangerous version of himself.
Yeah. Gervonta Tank Davis, it's my prediction that Gervonta Tank Davis is going to weigh in on the night of the fight against Jake Paul, knocking on 160 pounds. Don't be surprised if he's 157 pounds, something like that. You guys see this footage? Look at Tank. Now, if you know what you're looking at, the guy must be around 150 right now, 153, something like that. And you can really tell when he's sideways. When you look at him sideways and see the depth. See, from the front view, you can't really tell. But when he turns sideways, the guy is a wrecking ball. He's literally a baby rhino out there. And I think that is the idea for him to bulk up and be a little powerhouse out there. And I'm all for it. I'm going to tell you in this video why I think that's the best thing for Tank and why I think he will be knocking on 160 pounds.
Most boxing analysts believe that when Jake Paul faces Gervonta Davis, he's about to experience a tough wake-up call. They emphasize that Davis's threat isn't limited to his power. It's his years of experience against elite opponents that make him dangerous. With masterful control of distance, timing, and footwork, Davis has developed a fight IQ that few can match. In contrast, Paul is still in a learning phase, with a defense that remains basic and predictable. His instincts and ring awareness have yet to be tested against someone of Davis's caliber. Experts argue that the gap in skill, experience, and composure could ultimately prove decisive once the bell rings.
Tank Davis look crazy, bro. Chilaquiles. Gervonta Tank Davis hitting a heavy bag in preparation for his Jake Paul fight November 14th down there in Florida. Man looks absolutely amazing. Man looks like a monster. Man looks like precision. Jake Paul cannot take those body shots. You mean to tell me somebody who done fought UFC fighters and a man with Parkinson's disease can take a body punch from Gervonta Tank Davis and y'all basing y'all logic just because Jake Paul is big? No, Tank's going to go ahead and put this man to sleep. I'm telling y'all that right now. If Tank don't put this man to sleep, he done let the black community down, he done let boxing down, and he ain't never been that nice. You Tank fans, y'all trying to give him a pass. If y'all said Tank is as skilled as y'all say he is, if he does not put Jake Paul to sleep and stop Jake Paul, his boxing career is absolutely voided. He already don't care about legacy, and just imagine he don't knock out Jake Paul, and now y'all gonna say it's not a real fight, it's an exhibition. No, we not giving no passes, bro. This Gervonta Tank Davis, he needs to put Jake Paul to sleep. I don't want to hear nothing about, Jake Paul too big. No, Jake Paul chin ain't never been tested by somebody that hit as hard as Gervonta Tank Davis. Tank should put this man to sleep with ease. I'll say that respectfully. If you don't put him to sleep,
a 2-pack of ass. That shit stinks.
That's a 2-pack of ass at the highest level. And it's a musty energy at the highest level. Get it together. Get it together. Tank looks amazing. That's the Chilaquiles.
Teddy Atlas considers Gervonta Davis one of the most complete fighters in boxing today. He praises Davis not just for his explosive power and finishing instinct, but for his sharp counterpunching, tactical trap setting, precise distance control, and strong mental composure. According to Atlas, Davis fights with patience and purpose, always thinking several moves ahead rather than depending solely on aggression. These attributes, he believes, make Davis uniquely equipped among the top lightweights to dismantle a fighter like Jake Paul, a boxer still evolving, whose skill set and experience haven't yet reached true elite status.
With a real boxer, a real world champion boxer, that the only other time he was in, for the fans to get mad with that, was against Fury's Tommy Fury, but it wasn't that level, obviously, and all the size things you just rightfully pointed out. But he would have been in there with, I mean, it seemed crazy. You're going to go in there with a guy who was a 2-time heavyweight champ and a gold medalist? Wow. Even though the guy's, at a twilight part of his career, still.
And you've given a lot of credit and props to Jake Paul on this show of helping get more eyeballs to the sport, but the way he takes it serious and goes about his approach and his work to this craft, that he does take it seriously. With that being said, when he announces Tank Davis, I'm getting tired of these gimmick fights and him loading the deck up, whether it was Chavez Jr. or an old Mike Tyson, or we could go on and on with some of the UFC guys and the great Anderson Silva at 46 years of age. Tank Davis, great fighter, current fighter, world champion. We know how good he is. Been a top 10 pound-for-pound guy for you for the last few years now. But he's 5'5" and 135 pounds. This sounds like it would be a 195-pound fight, an exhibition. Wouldn't count on their records. Not a whole lot of other details other than it will be in November, and it sounds like in Atlanta. But I've said enough. I just want to hear your take. What do you make of this news with Jake Paul and Tank Davis?
But, and I'm smiling a little bit. But back in the day, I love the 1800s, 1700s, my friend out there, 1700s, whatever. But I love the old-time fighters that were catchweights. And there was guys like Sam Langford. I know Sam Langford shouldn't even be comparing him with this because he's so special. But, I mean, where Sam Langford beat heavyweights. He fought from lightweight to heavyweight and beat heavyweights. I mean, back in the day when you had a lot of great fighters fighting each other in catchweights, you did have some smaller guys fight bigger guys, I mean, and you had them. You had success in spots. So I'm half with tongue in cheek, but I'm half serious because I've been in the boxing business 50 years.
Luke Thomas also weighed in on a highly anticipated matchup, acknowledging Gervonta Davis's explosive power and world-class finishing ability. However, he noted a noticeable lack of energy and focus from Davis during press events, suggesting the champion seemed disengaged, treating the fight more like a business deal than a genuine competitive challenge. Thomas cautioned that this kind of detachment could be risky, warning that Jake Paul's determination and preparation shouldn't be underestimated. Even if Davis is a superior boxer on paper, his apparent indifference might open the door for Paul to capitalize on unexpected opportunities.
Pereira in MMA. Do you feel the same? Yeah, I mean, you could make the argument that Tyson Fury also didn't stick to the order of what was in front of him as a pure boxer due to taking I can't even remember if one on his record at this point or not, but whatever, the Francis Ngannou boxing match. And he won it by the skin of his teeth and moved on. But there was a delay as a consequence to make that. Now, that ended up being a little bit intriguing because of how well Francis did. But, this is not the first time major boxing has been interrupted in that way. However, at least both of them are heavyweights. Like this is gerrymandered weight classes or whatever the fuck they're doing to get around it. And it's an exhibition, they're using big ass gloves. Like it's a whole thing. So in that sense, it's a little bit different. It's not different in the sense of a boxer in his prime or relative prime.
Carl Froch echoed similar concerns, warning that Jake Paul's size and unorthodox power could pose a serious danger to Gervonta Davis, who isn't accustomed to taking punches from much heavier opponents. Froch's remarks mirror the growing unease across the boxing community, with many viewing the matchup less as a fair contest and more as a risky spectacle. Emphasizing potential danger, Froch pointed to massive weight difference, reportedly around 65 pounds, and urged caution, questioning whether the fight's entertainment value is worth the safety risks involved.
Just here at Los Naranjos in Viva, España, and I found out that Gervonta Davis is now fighting Jake Paul. So Jake Paul was supposed to be fighting AJ. Eddie Hearn announced 99% done, which we've just spoke about. what next for AJ? Potentially Jake Paul. But it now looks like that Jake Paul is fighting one of Anthony Joshua's legs. He's fighting Gervonta Davis, somebody who's a quarter of his size. I don't even know what's going on. Has Eddie Hearn been played? Let me know what you think. But the AJ fight with Jake Paul's finished. Gervonta Davis, fake Paul, November. I don't know what's going on in the world of boxing. This is an absolute joke. What next for AJ? We'll get into this, and there's so many questions I want to get into in the next episode. But I hope you enjoyed this one. And yeah, I just thought I'd give you a quick update because the news has just come in and I'm just trying to relax and play a bit of golf and I can't. I've got to get it off my chest. I'm going to add it to this video. Hope you enjoy it. Don't forget, if you haven't already, hit like, share and subscribe to the best channel in the business, Frotch on Fighting, and we'll see you very soon.
Comedian and commentator Aries Spears offered a candid perspective on the Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul showdown, calling the event more performance art than a legitimate sporting contest. He described it as a circus, flashy and exaggerated, yet confidently predicted that Davis would dismantle Paul with surgical precision, likely scoring a knockout within 3 rounds. Spears' take reflects the mixed sentiment surrounding the fight. Sharp criticism of its spectacle, coupled with recognition of Davis's undeniable skill and danger. In his view, it's entertainment wrapped in real combat. And despite the hype, there's every chance Davis ends it swiftly once the punches start flying.
The next fight that's coming up is Tank Davis versus Jake Paul.
Oh, this is such a circus.
Yeah. Look, according to BetOnline.ag, Gervonta Davis is favored -240, Jake Paul's +190. So more than twice the odds for Davis. Davis is a lot smaller, but he's a real serious fighter.
I'm predicting a 3rd round knockout.
Ooh.
Third
round knockout.
He's out of there. Listen, I don't know what's the bigger joke, that fight or Tyson versus Floyd Mayweather.
We'll talk about that in a second. We'll talk about that in a second. Yeah, this is honestly just disappointing. As a boxing fan, to just keep seeing these circuses happen over and over again.
I don't know if the rumor's true, but I heard Floyd was talking about coming out of retirement to fight Crawford. Now, that's got some panache to it.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah,
but
it would be.
I think Floyd will end up taking a loss.
Finally.
That's the thing. He'd mess up that record.
Yeah. And I would respect him for it because we know how much he's tried to protect the record. Take the risk. This is what great fighters are supposed to do.
Yeah, but it's interesting because people were saying that Terrence Crawford should retire because he's, 43-0 at this point?
Okay.
He's like 37 years old. I personally don't
think But he's still got the goods, though.
Oh, he's got the goods.
Yeah, he's still got the goods.
Because Canelo was a monster. Crawford had been dominating for a while.
Right.
And he had only had 2 losses, one of which was Mayweather, very early in his career. Mm-hmm. But this whole Jake Paul, Gervonta Davis thing is just because Gervonta was supposed to fight Roach. There was supposed to be a rematch because it was, I believe, a draw last time.
Yeah.
So you go and fight Jake Paul instead? I'm sure it's a much bigger bag.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a much bigger bag.
And clearly that's what it's about. It's the bag, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, pretty soon they're going to have Denzel Washington fighting somebody. They're going to start putting old men. I mean, they've already putting old men in the ring.
As long as before the fight, Denzel looks at his watch and goes, 16 seconds. I'm with it.
Do you think this fight is a genuine boxing contest or just a spectacle designed for entertainment? Share your thoughts in the comments below.